Our focus tonight is on the many financial hardships the city of Erie has faced both before and during COVID-19. It's what we're calling Erie's poverty problem, challenges and solutions. Now, the coronavirus has taken an economic toll on nearly every person here in Erie, but in the city lie many people and communities that have yet to get the help they've needed for generations. Job loss and the financial strain on doctors' visits were the first things that came to many people's minds. In Erie, poverty has been an issue for the past few decades. The numbers for employment and job rates staggering. Information from the Economic Policy Institute shows that Pennsylvania is one of only 2 states in the nation that has seen an increase in minority unemployment rates from the 2008 recession until today. And in addition, many buildings are still shut down due to COVID-19, erasing what little access the homeless population has to keep safe.
When you ask people to shelter in place, we have no place to shelter.
Poverty in health also continues to be a concern. Even with testing sites being set up in the area, there is no guarantee that everyone will be able to have access.
Pop-up clinics are amazing, but we need to make sure that they're accessible. So I know there's great studies coming out of New Orleans right now where they put in all these drive-through clinics, but didn't think about the fact that most people who live in New Orleans rely on public transportation.
And there are some that have to make excruciating economic decisions during the virus that can affect their health and well-being.
I'm limited in my income as well. So am I going to buy this mask for $12 or am I going to buy food?
Now, poverty issues in neighborhoods around Erie is a problem that's gone on for decades, which makes it incredible and yet fitting that one person we had a chance to talk to who grew up right here in Erie is using his efforts to stop hardships through another generational practice. Take a look. Corey Cook is one of many who have called Erie home since day number 1. He says growing up in the city was exciting.
It felt like a family atmosphere. You knew a lot of the people in the neighborhood.
But also knew the hardships his community was facing.
I think it was a good place to grow up. There were still challenges back then. We just didn't see a lot of the challenges that were going on.
And with time, Corey acknowledges, has come a lack of economic investment to the area.
If you ride through here, you'll see a lot of houses that haven't been invested in. I can glance at a roof right across the street and I can see shingles kind of falling down.
Nationally, the unemployment rate is over 13%, 17% amongst African Americans. This is the highest since the recession over a decade ago. But Corey knows the only way to reduce these numbers is to invest in the people that live amongst him. And the way the 31-year-old does that is through song. His nonprofit Life Through Music helps to lead aspiring artists on their journey to fame, no matter what their lyrical interest.
When I got a chance to get out of high school, travel to cities like Philadelphia and Atlanta and New York, I got exposed to musical instruments. I got exposed to technology on a different level, and I got exposed to industry standard software, hardware, musicians, and I wanted to bring those experiences back here to the city, to the kids in the city of Erie.
Corey and his family have had the chance to move elsewhere, but he said it would defeat the purpose of supporting his hometown. He and others know that in order to help Erie, they need to stay in Erie.
And I happen to change my physical location or I die or something. Did the necessity for that intervention die with me?
The consensus among those who lead the charge against poverty is that it takes a village and everyone must be on the same page. Now, Corey and his nonprofit are hoping to host more and more live events, even as the virus continues with safety measures so the public can enjoy them. Now, in addition to the economic challenges, hardships such as language barriers can make it difficult to spread solutions, and this alone can create a roadblock in solving the issue of poverty in the city. Social distancing during COVID-19 means being physically apart from the people around you. But another form of social distancing lurks in Erie as well, a divide in communication. Many people in minority communities possess the ability to speak multiple languages, but in some cases, such as election information that's only in English, that ability can seem like a burden.
When you're told to be a voter is to be an educated voter. So how do we, as a Latinx community or minority, become educated voter if that information is not in our language?
Having general conversations can also prove to be challenging for people who seldom venture outside of their communities.
If you live in a neighborhood where there are no folks that look like you, then you have to be intentional to go out of your neighborhood to cause yourself to be uncomfortable.
Information from Erie Vital Signs shows an increasing presence of minority communities within the city, making it even more critical for all races and ethnicities to talk together when seeking solutions. Now, on that note, learning a second language is a challenge for anyone who's interested in doing so, but being able to speak 6, that takes some incredible talent. But rather than accepting the discrimination they face because of this, 2 people in one Erie neighborhood use their talents to help bridge the social gap. At only 21 years old, Asiya Hassan has a talent that can take several years to master. She can speak multiple languages. But because of this, she and others were bullied while in school.
I would see them come for like other people like me who don't speak English, and I would also stand for them like, you guys are over here saying all that stuff because they don't understand anything you guys are saying.
Michu Chala experienced similar struggles. She came to the U.S. 5 years ago, already being fluent in 6 different languages. But even with that vocal talent, she still needed the help of the community around her just to be understood. Michu now works every day with the people in her community who also did not grow up learning English. She knows without any help, they may be put down by others, even if it isn't warranted.
If you don't speak the language, you can't give your ideas. It can be positive or good ideas, but because of language barrier, you can't do anything.
A mother herself, Michu also leads a group of parents that make visits to teach kids from 0 to 6 years old language skills. She knows just how important this time frame is for them because on average, children learn 75% of their language skills by age 3.
In helping them, I'm facing some challenges. In those challenges, I have to think about it. How can I get out of this challenge? How can I help the one who resists me?
As for Asiya, it's leading a daily dance group, teaching soccer skills and distributing meals to people in poverty every day. A full schedule for certain, but Asiya knows that she can go even further.
I'm doing a lot now, but I want to do like go to college, graduate, get a degree in something so that I can be able to help my mom, my parents, my family.
It's all an effort to make sure everyone, regardless of their social status, can have conversations that are uplifting and not demeaning. These conversations, both say, build the foundation to citywide success. Now, both Michu and Asiya plan to continue their efforts in the community, even if they happen to choose a different career path down the way. Now, in terms of getting school materials during COVID-19, the virus has made a fairly large impact on impoverished communities. But this means that rather than planting seeds of doubt, communities have to plant other things to stay afloat. With COVID-19 putting a strain on materials, impoverished communities are being forced to spread out resources. Sometimes this means choosing between one program or another. And for people who have limited access to education, not having help at home can prove to be difficult when trying to learn how to combat the virus.
Oftentimes they don't understand or they don't realize the seriousness of, things that are going on around them. And the best thing you can do is talk to your child about what's going on.
But some city neighborhoods have implemented their own educational system. They have invested in packets, school materials, and parent-led tutoring for their kids. Community leaders know how important it is to keep the mind sharp in order to be successful.
We try to inspire and motivate young people and that they don't have to live like some people think they should.
Horton's community has also stepped up to plant gardens in every backyard. This gives them access to fresh fruits and vegetables without having to worry about using what little financial help they have.
The hope is out their back door or to their basement to pull out something that they grew and canned or froze and saved for such a day like this.
Now, you could define the word perseverance by walking miles to school in the winter without shoes on, or having to learn how a country works without anyone teaching you. But for one man here in that same neighborhood, not only did that not stop him, it became motivational. Economic challenges are something that many Erie residents face, especially during COVID-19. But imagine having to navigate through life in a country different from where you were born, and you have no family with you to help out. This is the case for Dang Raj, who came to the U.S. after being born in South Sudan. For him, the transition to America was incredibly difficult.
When we came here, we were placed on the bottom of the economic ladder. We didn't have anything to wear, we didn't have anything, you know, we had just barely a little thing to eat.
And immediately, Dang experienced poverty. He made the decision to attend college at Mercyhurst University, knowing the extreme financial burden it would cause. At the time, he only was receiving $200 a month on food stamps, but Dang knew it was worth the risk.
The knowledge that I have, nobody can take it away. I lived with it, even though I'm struggling with the debt.
In order to make ends meet, Dang worked an 8-hour-a-day job during school and would, on occasion, sleep in the library if he didn't have time to walk home. But Dang now has his degree and is using it for the good of the younger generation in his neighborhood. Each day he takes time to help teach kids whose families may not have the financial means to send them to school. Part of the motivational process is to change the perspective of individuals who have been told they aren't good enough.
They just don't assume that they're not smart enough. They heard it from other people. They heard from people who say, you know, you cannot go to college. College is not for you.
The one thing Dang doesn't want is for the younger generation to be told what they can and can't do, something he believes is still happening today.
I met a lot of people who lived in this city for a long time, and they never been into this area of the town.
Dang knows that as long as the kids can keep on schedule and feel encouraged during the pandemic, they'll be able to gain more knowledge and educational experience, which can pave the way for a generation that seeks even more solutions. We'll talk about an incredible journey for Dang, but he tells me he's not done. He still has so much more that he can do. We're excited to see that for sure. Well, for anyone who's struggling financially, it's possible that there has been a decision that they have to make between health or other resources. Mentally, the sheer worry about not being able to know what will happen day to day as well can pose a challenge for people in impoverished communities. Health concerns continue to dominate areas with little resources, and sometimes it can cause doctors and nurses to make judgments that aren't warranted. A recent study from the University of Pennsylvania found that without proper research, some doctors made assumptions as to why patients had a certain diagnosis.
And what the men were saying about assumptions providers made about what type of food they were eating, or that providers made about their exercise and dietary practices.
And with little financial resources, the thought of an expensive hospital visit for a family in poverty can be daunting.
And when you have that type of a situation, you're certainly not going to go to the doctor or go to a hospital until you are in dire need of those services.
And being healthy doesn't just mean you're doing okay physically. With schools shut down, there's a constant battle now to keep the mind sharp so that kids don't lose what knowledge they learned from the past school year. And there are many parents and children who were straining to make ends meet before the virus even began, but job loss has now made it an even bigger hill to climb. But there is help that's coming in multiple ways, and it's both the community and organizations that are lending a hand. Being a parent during COVID-19 can present an array of challenges. According to data from the Urban Institute, 43% of parents with children have either lost hours or have been laid off from a job during the pandemic. And in Erie, especially for areas in poverty, job loss not only affects adults, but the kids in the family as well.
Ever since March 13th, we haven't had school. Things are very hard for single parents, all of above.
Tiffany Hicks is a single mother of 5. Of her children, 2 have been diagnosed with intellectual disabilities. She says her fight against poverty has been going on for a long time. The virus simply made things harder.
Basically, you're doing everything by yourself, and it's double hard because now you're doing it by yourself without a parent or without a significant other.
In the city of Erie, Angela McNair works on the district school board. She says there's a misallocation of resources, and it's hurting the houses that need it most.
Our resources are very limited. We were already below the radar as far as receiving the things that we needed, and this just, you know, it kind of just shine a light on things that we should have already been addressing.
The solution, they all say, come together and serve each other. Right now, that's the focus for Chantel in the Booker T. Washington Center, a place where Tiffany says has helped to keep her family afloat.
They have been providing meals for my children. Even Erie Rise have provided a tablet for my children, packets for my children.
One of the most important things the center can do, however, is offer an area where students and parents can keep up to date with schooling while buildings are closed.
We still have to find ways to make sure that our kids are being educated. And I think the school district, as well as many other apparatuses and educational institutions, have done a great job of what we were dealt with.
Now, adding on to what we just heard, Tiffany told me that having positive energy is the biggest key to getting through during COVID-19. And we saw during that story, she has a lot of positive energy for certain. Well, it's now more necessary than ever to pitch into the fight to end poverty, because even though the virus may end, the economic battle surely will not. Serve Erie has been a resource for impoverished communities for the last 4 years, operating between East 6th and 12th Street. The nonprofit leaders say that while the job is emotionally demanding, the end result is worth any struggle.
Man, I mean, when you love people and you really care about people, this is what we should be doing in every aspect of life.
When the virus began, two things they saw within the areas they serve were confusion and frustration.
Social distancing is an issue. Many of the people that we serve aren't as well resourced.
Serve Erie has used their efforts to provide safety resources such as masks and gloves to other organizations who are also helping to fight the virus. But as they've seen while in operation, economic challenges existed long before COVID-19.
People in poverty have been under-resourced for decades. This is not new. And it will continue unless you get up and help.
And quite possibly the biggest question to come out of the virus, how does the Erie community continue efforts against poverty when COVID-19 slows?
You need to be able to recognize that when things turn normal, we're still going to have work to do.
Now, I had the chance to sit down further with Serve Erie that serves individuals struggling financially, and everyone in that conversation was in agreement that solving poverty is far from over, but every little action that every person makes counts.
Many people have intentionally said, I'm going to pretend that doesn't exist, because they don't want to wrestle with the ugliness of it.
To move forward with an answer, you first have to acknowledge the problem. In our roundtable with Serve Erie, this was one of the first solutions identified when attempting to tackle the issue of poverty in Erie. The organization understands it might be difficult to have these conversations, but it's important to all be on the same page.
I think all you can do is go into it with humility and do your best every day. I mean, try to focus on what's right instead of what side you're on.
Another key in the battle against economic hardships is to fight against complacency. Poverty in Erie will continue if efforts don't.
These kind of needs are ever present. And it takes something like this to say, oh man, we need to meet those needs. Okay, well, when CNN is no longer interested and Fox News is no longer interested and this thing subsides, many of these needs are still there.
Serve Erie has been at the forefront of positive change in the city, but knows involvement must go on further than just one project. A large part of this, they say, can come from the younger generation.
And a lot of these young people are still idealistic. They're still just mad enough. There's use for that, because if we lose that, everyone becomes complacent.
And no matter what your age, involving yourself with an organization can be impactful. Despite the virus limiting in-person contact, the need for community support is still there.
If this is something that you feel connected to or that you see now, that is always going to be there. Please, you're welcome to stay in this all year round.
If you're not sure what to do first, find a person, place, or leader who is looking to work towards the same greater goal.
A great place to start is become more serious about, okay, who's on the front line solving this problem? And let me put my time, treasure, and resources towards that person or that entity.
The vision: identify a resource for every need, today, tomorrow, and the day after that, too. Now our thanks to Serve Erie and all other service organizations as well as people in this series that are committed to ending poverty right here in the city of Erie. This concludes our report for Erie's poverty problem, challenges, and solutions. Now, if you want to learn more about our series and hear additional information on how you can get involved, visit our website, erienewsnow.com. I'm Isaac Pekyash. Thanks for watching.